Syria's military announced on Saturday a temporary troop withdrawal in Aleppo to prepare a counteroffensive against what it called terrorists. The military said the withdrawal was part of a regrouping effort ahead of the arrival of reinforcements to launch the counterattack. The military also added that dozens of soldiers had been killed or injured in fierce battles with insurgents in Aleppo and Idlib over the past few days. Rebels had seized most of Syria's largest city, Aleppo, as of Saturday, according to a war monitoring group, and to fighters who were combing the streets in search of any remaining pockets of government forces. The anti-government rebels said they had faced little resistance on the ground in Aleppo. But Syrian government warplanes responded with airstrikes on the city for the first time since 2016, according to the war monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Aleppo came to a near standstill on Saturday, with many residents staying indoors for fear of what the sudden flip in control might mean, witnesses said. Others did venture out into the streets, welcoming the fighters and hugging them. Some rebels tried to reassure city residents and sent out at least one van to distribute bread. The rapid advance on Aleppo came just days into a surprise rebel offensive launched on Wednesday against the autocratic regime of President Bashar al-Assad. The developments are both the most serious challenge to al-Assad's rule and the most intense escalation in years in a civil war that had been mostly dormant. The timing of the assault suggested that the rebels could be exploiting weaknesses across an alliance linking Iran to the militant group Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as the Assad regime in Syria and others. And in Aleppo on Saturday, well-armed rebel fighters dressed in camouflage patrolled streets still lined with the ubiquitous posters of al-Assad. The opposition forces said that although they were in control of nearly the entire city, they had not yet solidified their hold on it. The rebels also announced the capture of towns and cities across two provinces, Aleppo and Idlib. In the city of Aleppo, rebels announced a 24-hour curfew starting at 5 p.m. Saturday, saying it was for residents' safety. Within hours from Friday into Saturday, Syrian government soldiers, security forces and police officers fled the city, according to the war monitoring group. They were replaced by the Islamist and Turkish-backed rebels sweeping through on foot, motorbikes or on trucks mounted with machine guns. Government military vehicles were parked along the western entrance of the city, apparently abandoned. Rebels took down the government flag, burning it in the streets, and raised the opposition flag with its band of green on a pole overlooking much of the city. The offensive is the latest upheaval in the long-running Syrian civil war, which began in 2011. It displaced about half of the population and sent millions seeking safety in neighboring countries, like Turkey and Lebanon, and beyond, including in Europe. The conflict was largely stagnant for years until Wednesday, when fighters from an array of armed opposition factions launched the surprise offensive. Their advance came 8 years after a bloody battle for control over Aleppo in 2016 that lasted for months. The rebels were ultimately routed in a big blow to their efforts to oust al-Assad. Throughout the war, al-Assad has counted on military and political support from two of his closest allies, Iran and Russia. Russia once again came to al-Assad's aid in the latest fighting. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Friday that Moscow had carried out airstrikes against the rebel offensive in support of the Syrian military, although it did not say where. The war monitoring group said that Russian strikes had hit opposition-held areas of Aleppo and Idlib provinces. It was not immediately clear whether Russia had struck the city of Aleppo, the capital of the Aleppo province, to back up the Syrian government airstrikes. If you want to stay updated on the latest developments, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button.